So, I had a flood, so I lost all the cars.
What?
Well, the hurricane.
I didn't know.
Oh, yeah. Our whole house got devastated. First floor, all of our cars. So we live right on the water.
Yeah.
Hurricane Ian, I believe. And I'm elevated up really high. So Chandra's like, hey, we're going to flood. And I said, listen, honey, we're not going to flood. And then the water came up 8 feet. And, of course, now we're not going to flood. And then it's up 14. Anyway, so the whole bottom level of the house completely flooded.
14 feet.
18. So 14 to the window and then 4 feet in. And so we literally like Titanic, Jack up there just down, looking down at the water pouring in. And so, yeah. And so, but I hear this sound. I'm like, why do I hear the car? And it didn't even occur to me.
Yeah.
The garage is filled up with water. And so my Rolls Royce, my Bentley, and the Mercedes that Chandra has all completely, literally underwater, floating in the garage.
Oh my God!
That's all right. So to answer the question, like, don't feel bad. Never feel bad for a guy with a Rolls Royce. That's the rule. Okay.
Listen, it's earned. It's earned.
It's but anyway. So to answer the question, I replaced the Rolls Royce with a new one. Got a new one-of-one Bentley, and then Chandra picked out this just crazy AMG Mercedes.
You can't just skip over the 101 Bentley. What is this 101 Bentley? What is this? Explain this to me.
It's
and don't be humble.
It's a overly expensive Bentley. It's a GTC.
Beautiful.
It's a beautiful ride, and so that's usually my go-to car. And then we have the Rolls Royce Black Badge, which is a bad car. And that's, I mean, I actually listen. Here's the thing with me with cars. I drive these things. Like, I swear to God, I might have the record for the Rolls Royce with the most miles. Usually you can get a Rolls Royce with like 6 years old, 3,000 miles. Mm-hmm. Mine, 6 months, 12,000 miles. Listen, if you're not going to enjoy it, what's the point in having it?
Exactly.
And so for me, these are things, like, it's never lost on me. I will never not be that poor kid from Rhode Island. Mm-hmm. It's an asset and a liability. Yeah. And still to this day, I have moments where the top down, the wind's blowing, it's beautiful. I look around, and I'm like, I'm driving a Bentley.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, man. It doesn't happen every day, and it actually makes me sad because I do get used to the luxuries that I have. But there are these really special moments where I think back, and I'm like, and I think this is important to hear, right? Mm-hmm. It's not about, there are so many people that are so much more successful than me, but I've come a distance that, at least for my life, is so impressive. Mm-hmm. And I think people really get lost in that. I don't have what that guy has. Yeah, but how far have you come? Yeah. And when you sit in that level of pride, I think that is a key to really taking you to the next place. Or if not, you're happy.
I'm also looking at you and saying, like, that must be nice.
Absolutely.
That must be nice. Took you how many years?
Yep.
And if they really knew the backstory of that must be nice.
Sure. Well, here's the thing. It is nice. There's no doubt about it. But I think, look, for me coming up, I think jealousy over things is ridiculous. And it bothers me because, actually it doesn't bother me. It makes me sad. I have so many times where I'll take my rolls somewhere and people with it, they'll scratch it up.
Shut up.
Oh, I've had people pull things off of it. The little ornament, the spirit of excess. I've had people like jam it down. And honestly, I feel bad for them because what they don't understand is that they could have it too. And this is the thing. Like, I still believe, regardless of my level of wealth, which who gives a shit, anybody can have what I have. If I can get here, there's not a single goddamn person listening that cannot have what I have. And that is a goddamn fact. And so if you live in that, look, I actually have wealth guilt. I feel guilty that everyone can't experience what I experience. And for a long time, that got me in trouble because I just gave money to everybody.
You told me a couple stories.
I wanted everyone to feel what I felt because I was so like, guys, like, I used to be poor and eat apples out of a goddamn tree. Like, this feels good. Let me help. Yeah. And so many people just aren't willing to do what it takes. And it's actually so much less than you think. Not to say that it's easy, but what I mean by that is you change your mindset. And you take the first goddamn step. And people are like, okay, take the first step. Yeah, that's really it. Now, of course, you need to have some guidance. You need to have some direction. You need to have some goddamn persistence. But none of that doesn't matter if you don't start.
A lot of these things are breaking the molds, too. Looking at the circle you're around.
That's right.
If you're around people who are kind of talking shit on something else, or, having that short-term mindset, or having the mindset. And I grew up like that. I mean, I'm around that I was around that mindset of, you know, and they weren't even really wealthy now looking back. They were just kind of middle class. And somebody would say like, oh, it must be nice, you know, them.
That's right.
And you get caught up in that. Like,
of course you do.
Like kind of like that. Oh, then they become a target to be, you know, messed with.
Yep.
The car situation.
It's worse than that. When you do that, you make it seem unattainable for you.
That's exactly it.
Instead of, how did he do that?
Yes.
When I was poor and I used to see a Bentley, brother, when I tell you, I would think about that, not with envy, but like with passion, like for weeks, months at a time. Like, how do I get that? What does that guy have that I don't have? He doesn't have anything that I don't have. And I knew that I would get it. And I swear to God, that is like the biggest part of it. Yeah. It's how you frame things in your mind. I say this to my daughters all the time. Be careful what you say to yourself because your subconscious is listening. We treat ourselves so poorly. We let ourselves down before anybody else. It's just insane to me. Like, you know, if your boss tells you to be somewhere at 5 o'clock, you're there. At 6 a.m., you're there. But if you make a promise to yourself to go to the gym on Saturday, screw it, I'll go. You're treating a stranger better than you're treating yourself. Show up for yourself in a meaningful way for a period of time. That's what builds the confidence to take off.
One thing I also want to mention is, and you've mentioned them twice in the podcast, and I want to nobly give you the flowers for this. You're a great dad.
Oh, thank you.
You've raised two incredible, you know, young women.
Yeah. My greatest accomplishment.
As are my kids too. But you've also set them up for success and failure.
For sure.
You've given them the opportunity, which I want you to talk about.
Sure.
In putting their first feet into business endeavors and going back to we were talking about the trading card stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of dealing with money, dealing with business success. Tell the viewers what you've done for your daughters.
So starting out really young, because I wanted my daughters in every inch of my life, I brought them to every meeting I ever had. I remember back, you know, they're scribbling in a boardroom with crayons, pretending like they're taking notes. But they didn't understand, but it was getting in. And so still today, if you pitch me on a business deal, I would bring it to my daughters. Hey, Mary, you know Daddy's friend Flex, he has an idea for a business. Here it is. Why? I want them to hear how I think about it, and then I want to challenge their thoughts on it.
Love it.
And so from a very young age, I'm going to say they're 14 and 16, so 10 and 12, they stopped asking for things for Santa Claus. They wanted their own brick and mortar. And so finally at 12 and 14, I said, okay, I've identified a business that we can buy. Here's the catch. The two locations, it's called Rita's Italian Ice, Slingin' Ice.
What is this?
It's an Italian ice store. Tiny, tiny, tiny. I mean,
in Naples.
One's in Fort Myers, one's in Port Charlotte.
You guys get out and support.
If you're in that area, please over support.
Sorry.
So I mean, 300 square feet, tiny. And so there were two locations. One was making $60,000 a year, one was losing. And so the deal here was you need to buy both. And once you buy both, you need to decide what to do. Dad will put up the money, and I did. I drafted loan documents that they signed. They helped me negotiate the initial lease, and then here's what they decided. They decided to close down the failing location because they thought that it was close enough that those customers would come to the existing location. They were right.
Thank you for watching this segment. Check out the full interview on iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube. Help us by subscribing, leave a like, comment, or a positive review. Click this to see what YouTube recommends, and this to see the full interview. See you on the next one. Out.